Podcast. My name is Megan Nodecker, and I am a knitwear designer from Abbotsford, BC. You can find me on Instagram as Pip and Pin, on Ravelry as Knit Pip and Pin, and in the Ravelry group Pip and Pin. Today's podcast is going to be all about knitting, a little bit of design stuff. There's going to be a new knit along that that has started today, as well as what else is there? There's a little bit of other crafty things as well. So that's what today is going to be all about. First, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's watching. I've gotten quite a lot of new subscribers recently, and I just want to say a big welcome to all of you, and thank you for everyone that's come back. So thanks to our returning viewers as well. And as always, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, and you can always leave me a comment in the comments box below if you have any questions or comments or just want to say hi or whatever. So the first thing, just a reminder that the Afterthought Everything's knit along is still going on. I spent a lot of time going over everything last episode, so if you have any questions or don't know what that's about, just watch the beginning of the last episode and all the details are there. Also in the Pip and Pin Ravelry group, there is a chat thread and a finished objects thread. And just a reminder that that closes on January 31st. So make sure to get your faux in the faux thread. I just started a new knit along today. And this was very inspired by the Portage Cardi knit along that I'm taking part in on Instagram. And basically what this is going to be is a knit along run entirely on Instagram. And it's very relaxed and very casual. And I'm going to tell you all about it. Basically, how it's going to work is it's going to be a Pip and Pin knit along. So you can use any Pip and Pin pattern or Megan Nodecker pattern from any of our self-published ones, anything from magazines or books. Any Pip and Pin Megan Nodecker pattern will be eligible for this knit along. And how to enter is just post a photo. Post a photo on Instagram using the hashtag Pip and Pin KAL18. And these, it doesn't have to be a finished object. This can be works in progresses. It can be planning if you are just trying to decide what yarn to use or kind of have your knitting package together and you take a picture of it. Use that tag. Pretty much anything using a Pip and Pin pattern will work. And that's it. Every post using that tag is an entry, basically. So this is going to be a year-long knit along. So it's going to run all the way until the end of December. And at the end of each month, I'm going to draw a prize. And it's not going to be a large prize, I don't think. But I'm going to draw a little prize at the end of each month from the posts of that month. So January included, so this starts right now. So at the end of January, I'm going to just do a random draw from the posts that were in January, and you're going to get a little prize. And then at the end of the year, there's going to be a big grand prize draw from the whole year. So that's going to be 13 prizes in all throughout the whole year. Yeah, again, it's not about finishing things really. Like, I don't know, I really liked the idea behind the Portage Cardi knit along that I'm participating in right now. And I'll put all the information for that knit along in my show notes. I did talk about it quite a bit last time, so I'll just put all the information for that one in the show notes. But basically it's run just like that. It's not about finishing per se. It's just about sharing your process and sharing your photos, and that's about it. So I wanted to, that's where I took my inspiration from for this one. And I think it's a really cool idea. It takes a bit of the pressure off. As much as I love pressure, I realized that like with this portage one, all I needed was a group of people to, you know, make me start working on that thing again. While there won't be any prizes drawn from this, I did open up a chat thread in the Pip and Pin Ravelry group. So if you have any questions or comments or want to, I don't know, share stuff or just chat in general about the knit along, you can find the chat thread on the Ravelry group. All of the details will be there as well, all of the rules, and if things need clarification, they'll be up there too. I also just posted a post on Instagram this morning about it. So all the rules and information can be found on my Instagram page as well. It's the picture of the back of Cornell, and you'll see it. Pip and Pin KAL 18 is written on there. So you can find it 2 places. So let's talk prizes. I already have my January prize picked out, so I'm gonna share it with you right now. And this is something that I got from my friend Sarah, and she is Riv Creative on Etsy, and I'll have all her information in the show notes. And this is a progress keeper. So we got this little super cute alpaca progress keeper, and it is just a little like enamel charm with gold claw on there. I have a bunch of her progress keepers now, and I have even more now because I definitely did some Etsy shopping. But I decided that I wanted to give this little guy away because I figured lots of people would like it. And I know she like sold out of them right away. So, okay, that's going to be for January. So use that Pip and Pin KAL 18 for any of your Pip and Pin projects on Instagram. And end of January, I'm going to pick a winner for this guy. And for the future giveaways, if anybody does want to donate a prize, you are amazing and awesome, and it would really appreciate it. So just let me know, get in touch with me on Ravelry or Instagram or email or however you want to get a hold of me. Before I jump into my finished objects and works in progress, I am wearing something knitted today. Yay! I'm trying to make it more of a point to wear some more stuff on the podcast since this is a knitting podcast. Today I am wearing my Haida shawl, and this is a design by me, one of my more recent ones, kind of. It was released this December, but it's actually been finished and been in the works for about 1.5 years. So I'll take it off and let you take a look here. This is made with Madeline Tosh Merino Light, and it is the Dirty Panther colorway. And so just some lines of twisted stitches going into some lovely diamond lace there, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's some garter and stockinette in that lace, and just a top-down triangle shawl, which is one of my favorites. All right, so on to finished objects. Last week I showed you a cowl I was working on for the book that Katie and I are going to be releasing, and I finished it, but it is nothing like what I showed you. I decided that I didn't like the texture, and the yarn was too pretty and drapey to be lost in all that. So I ripped it out and started totally new. And this is what I came up with. Again, ends are not woven in and it is not blocked. So technically, I don't really consider it finished, but I'm going to block everything and do all the finishing stuff to these designs at the same time because I just want to do it that way. Anyways, I guess I'll show you it. But this is like a 3-color cowl, and just with simple seed stitch on either end and stockinette for the body. And this is made using Cascade Baby Llama Chunky. And it is so soft. It's like so soft. And I think this is part of the reason why I wanted to change it. I just didn't want to detract from anything. You know, I just didn't want anything to have to compete too hard with the yarn. So let me take this off and I'll show you. And what I like about it too is you can do it, you know, 2 ways. So I'm going to do the white up this time, I think. I'm going to stuck in my bobby pins. So nice and a little bit, like not super tight. This is going to be really, really warm. I found, working with the llama, I found it to be quite similar to alpaca, except, you know, sometimes with alpaca, you get those guard hairs and they're like, I don't know, I find alpaca kind of itchy unless it's super, super expensive, like baby alpaca. But this has no guard hairs, like no nothing. It's just all pure, soft, lovely squishiness. And I really can't wait to block it and see how it blocks, basically. Because I think that will be really neat to find out. Yeah, so these colors are, this is again the Cascade Baby Llama Chunky, and it's 100% Baby Llama. And we have the Ecru, Honey Gold, and Charcoal. And I found the charcoal to be, like, I like it, but I found it to be a little bit on the brown side. I think it's an undyed, so it does have a little more brown in it than I'm used to in a charcoal colorway. So, I mean, it's still really nice, but when you put it next to other grays, it's like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of brown in there. One thing that I do really like about how I changed it was, I did a Icelandic bind off for there, and that's something, or for one of the ends, and that's something that I usually only do with garter stitch, but none of the bind offs that I was trying really worked quite right with the seed stitch. And I wanted something, I did a long tail cast on. I started with the white, so I did a long tail cast on here, and it's kind of a hard cast on to match. I don't know, unless you do like a sewn one, but I don't really like doing a sewn bind off. So I tried the Icelandic, and I really love how they complemented each other. Like, they don't perfectly match, which is fine because in most cases they don't. But for something like a cowl like this, I wanted it to be quite close. So I'm really happy with, yeah, long tail cast on and Icelandic bind off on seed stitch. Who'd have thought? Also, I matched my tension pretty much perfectly the first time, and you always gotta love it when that happens. And that's all I have for finished objects for today. I have a half object, but I'll show you that in a minute. First one I'm going to show you is my Afterthought Everythings. And these are using 6 and 7 fibers Milo in the Giving colorway. And yeah, I feel like I've gotten a lot of progress on these in the past week. You can see that's where I was last time I podcasted. And so I did quite a bit over the past week. And I 100% credit that to Georgia's swimming lessons. I get about half an hour, 40 minutes of uninterrupted sock knitting time twice a week. So that's pretty awesome. And then we also went to New West over the weekend, which is about, I'd say 40 minutes away. And I wasn't driving. So I also got that extra knitting time. And I didn't really want to bring any of my other projects. Like, this is what I love about socks, is you just pop them in your bag and you just have something to knit. Like, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to like, oh, do I have the tools? Or, oh, it's so big. Or whatever. You just pick it up and you just start knitting. So there is a bit of a close-up of my sock tube, and I think I'm just about halfway, or no, I'm over halfway done, I'd say. I can probably add a couple more inches, and then I'm going to be good to split my yarn and do all the heels and toes and cuffs and fun stuff. Oh, and this little stitch marker here. That is my little origami cat from Riv Creative, and I believe she still has some of those in her Etsy shop. I don't know if she still carries that one or not, but I know she has. Quite a few cat-inspired ones, and I was quite tempted by those ones. But I think I have like 4 or 5 cat progress keepers right now, and I just didn't feel like I needed another one quite yet. So these socks are knit on size 0, US 0 2mm needles, and they're the Chalgu red lace tips, which the first time I worked with them really destroyed my hands, and I said I'm never using these again. But I've since used them more and have learned how to not be so rough with my hands and to loosen up my tension quite a bit, and now they're lovely. Like, the cord is amazing. For these socks or sock tube, this I cast on 66 stitches, and I'm just doing a 5x1 rib the whole way down. All right, so the next work in progress that I'm going to share with you is my portage cardigan. And this is a pattern by Melissa Shashwari, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. I've been practicing. Melissa Shashwari, yeah. And this is the portage cardigan. I'm sure that you have seen this before. Lots of people have made it because it's a really amazing design. I had this in hibernation for quite a while, but then the portage cardi KALs started on Instagram, and I got inspired to pick it back up again. And this is kind of, so it may look like I haven't done a lot on it since last week, but I have, and I'll tell you in a minute. But first I'm going to show you my progress. I am working on the collar right now and the front band. It's all one piece, which is nice, and I'm going to be doing this for 6 inches in garter stitch, so I'd say about halfway maybe. And I would be further along, but I guess when I was picking up, because I'm doing a different gauge and using a different size yarn and kind of just flying by the seat of my pants, I have, like, the directions instructed you to pick up, I think it was 3 stitches for every 4 rows along the front bands there, which probably would have been absolutely perfect if I was using DK yarn, but I'm not. I'm using Sport. So as I was knitting, it really just started to, it was quite obvious that it was too many stitches. At the bottom, I'll show you, at the bottom, it was flaring down, and yeah, it was probably, the end of it was probably down to there or something. So it was quite a bit different. And I was hemming and hawing about it because the way the pockets are constructed, they're kind of a part of the collar and front band. So it would have, like, I don't think it would have made too much of a big deal. I don't think it would have been too much of a big deal if there was that little bit extra drop, because your pockets are going to be there anyways. So it would have just made like a nice thing or something, maybe, possibly. So I let it sit for a day, and I did a post on Instagram about it to get people's opinions, and it was about 50-50 between leaving it and ripping it back and doing it again. Ultimately, I decided that it was more worth it to me to rip out 2 inches of garter, as much as I hated to do it. Much better to rip out 2 inches than 6. So that's what I did. I ripped it out and re-knit the button band. But I am much, much happier with it now, and now there's no question that it's going to work out. So good trade-off. I think I made the right decision. Usually ripping out, if you have a weird feeling about something, or if you think something's not working out, or if you think you are using the wrong yarn or something, chances are you're right. And you should just rip it out. Sometimes it works out. But I feel like, especially if you are like beginner knitters, I wouldn't expect them to really know the difference. But if you are kind of an experienced knitter, you know, and you're just lying to yourself. And you're either making something that you're never gonna wear, or you're never gonna be fully happy with, or you're gonna rip out and like redo anyways. So you might as well just bite the bullet, as much as it sucks, and rip it out and redo it. I know there are like 2 camps, and I spent a couple days pretending I was in the, it'll be fine, I'm just gonna leave it camp. I knew what was wrong, and I knew it had to be fixed, and I just had to do it. I did not mention the yarn yet, and this is something that I picked up from Knit City, and it is Poppy Yarn and Fiber, the Galway Sport, which I'm not sure if they're selling right now. You'd have to take a peek at their Etsy shop. But they're Galway Sport in the Scholar colorway. And I don't think I showed you the back either. I talked about how the texture on the back is actually supposed to be quite different, but I'm gonna leave it. Things like that I'll leave, you know. It still looks nice. So, portage. All right, so the last work in progress that I have is actually a half object, and it is a giant mitten. Kind of looks like a lobster. This is another new design for our book, and it is, yeah, just a giant marled mitten, and it is so squishy. And it is made using Cascade Magnum Campfire Heather, which is this one, Highland Duo in Cranberry, and it's showing up a little bit orange. I don't know, it's not orange, it's red. And then Alpaca Lace in Red Wine Heather. And so I'm using all of these held together to create this beautiful squishy fabric. This design was a little bit of an anomaly for me. Usually I write the pattern before I knit it, pretty much. This one, I just kind of started knitting, and I knew I was going to do a ribbed cuff, and then I decided just to keep it going. I like the look of it so much. So it's just ribbing the whole way up on the thumb as well. And there are going to be some fingerless gloves as well, and a hat. So they'll all kind of go together, I think, is the plan. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but that is the plan right now. So I just have this one to finish, and then the fingerless ones and the hat, and then that kind of little set will be done. I love mittens. And for these ones also, I am a big believer in a good, well thought out thumb gusset, and this one just doesn't have one. I was thinking about, like, when I decided it was going to be all ribbing, I don't think that it needed it. There's so much squish and so much give to these. Like, they look a little fitted, but they're super stretchy. And I am here that one's not quite finished yet because I haven't sewn up the holes yet or anything. It hasn't been blocked. But I just, because of the way the fabric is and because of how big and chunky and bulky and lovely it is, I don't think that I needed it. And so I just didn't put one in, and it worked out really nicely. So I think this is the first gussetless mitten that I've ever made. Certainly the only one I've ever designed, and I really, really love it. I don't think I would do that with like a DK stockinette or anything like that, but you gotta design to your fabric, and this one just wanted to be a straight mitten. Another thing that I really, really love about this new mitten pattern is they're both worked the same. If you've ever had a chance to look at, these were kind of inspired by my woodcutter gloves. They're just fingerless gloves and super bulky, and they're both made the same. And I really love that they're both made the same. You could do them two at a time if you wanted. Like there's no left or right. They're just two mittens. So that's something that I was really, that I really wanted from this design, and this is just how it came out. So I guess to make up for last week when I had nothing for stash, I have lots of stuff to show you. I went a little Etsy happy crazy a couple weeks ago, and all of it came this week, and so I had lots and lots of very, very happy mail days. So the first one, I already showed you part of it, but this is the rest of my order from Sarah of Riv Creative. So the first one here is another progress keeper, and this is the CMYK color model. And she had shared this one on Instagram just before she did her update, and I knew that I just had to have it right away. So that's the one that actually brought me to her shop and to buy it. I just think it's so neat and unique and a little bit geeky. And then while I was there were these guys. And I am a plant killer. I don't know if you noticed, but the hanging plant behind me is gone because it really just had a dead plant in it. So I have some jade and I have a cactus, and those I'm good with. So I got these succulent trios, they're called, and you can buy them individually as well, but I needed all three. And I didn't notice when I bought them, but oh, it was this guy. This yellow one, this one, my neighbors, I can kind of see their window through this window. They actually have a plant that looks exactly like that in their window. So that made me very happy. So lots of fun new progress keepers. I should probably, considering I don't really ever have more than 3 or 4 things going at a time, I should really cool it on the progress keepers for a while. I feel like I'm set. I need to like lose a couple, and then I can start buying some again. The next thing that I got in the mail is these guys. And I cannot tell you how happy these make me. This was a splurge and a half, and I am so glad that I did it. This is from 6 and 7 Fiber, and I've gushed about her, Rachel, a lot because I just love the way that she dyes, and every single time she updates her shop, I have to use all of my willpower to restrain myself from buying everything. I was not successful a couple weeks ago, and I should have bought more, and I will tell you why. But first, I'll show you exactly what I got. So first, I got 2 of her 20-gram mini skeins, And these are her tonals that she just started doing. And they're beautiful. I got a couple of her tonals when I got the Giving colorway. It came with 3 mini skeins, and so I knew I liked the way that she did them already, so I decided to get a couple more. And this one, all of the ones that I got are on her Milo base, which is the sock base. It's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And it's a really nice, like, high twist, very clean. If you've ever used, I'd say it's comparable to like Gauge, maybe. Yeah, it's just very stable. I don't know. I don't know. It's lovely. It's my favorite kind of base. And that might just be the 75-25 split. I don't know. That's just the base that I like. But this one is steel. So it's a nice medium gray and lots of tonality to it. One thing I also really like about how she does her minis is she actually puts labels on them. I have a really hard time. I just like knowing what the yarn is, and I love that there's a label on it. So that was the steel, and this is the blush. And I pretty much knew that I should have got it's turning up a little, kind of right. I don't know. Turning up a little yellow or something. But it is exactly what you would think of when you think of blush. It is this pale rose pink. There's a little bit of, my skin had a little bit of, there's a tiny black speckles there. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I love them. And I knew right away I regretted not getting the full skein of this. I should have just gotten the full skein. Also, kind of sorry about how blurry I am right now. I've got a new webcam and I really like it, except the autofocus really sucks. So I turned the autofocus off and have to do it manually. So when I show you things, I will be blurry, but whatever. You've seen enough of my face. I also got 2 full skeins, and I'll show them to you first and then I'll talk about them. This is I'll Teach the Lot, again in her Milo base, and these are both 100-gram skeins, and just a lovely golden yellow, my favorite, with some nice dark speckles, some pops of kind of burnt orange and a little bit of brown, lots of black. Oh, there's some black in there. I am really excited to see what this one does. And then there is this one, which is Hogwarts: A History. Oh man, that one is showing up perfectly. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna open this up for you. Look how beautiful. There's gold and gray and yellow and blues. Just absolutely gorgeous. There we go. So there was a bit of, not regret on my part at all, a bit of regret that I didn't get more, basically. And the reason for that is she is a dyer from Colorado, I want to say. Is it on here? No. I'm pretty sure Colorado. Somewhere near here, but in the States. Worst. Somewhere near here, but in the States. And I have a like, there's a shipping company right across the border where you can get things shipped to, and then you can drive across the border and pick them up. And I literally live about 5 minutes away from the border. So I do that quite often with packages from the States. It's cheaper shipping and it comes in no time. But for some reason, I decided I didn't want to do that. I just wanted it to come to my house. So I spent $20 or so on shipping, which isn't terrible. I think it was 22 or something. I mean, for international shipping, that's not unheard of. But she does free shipping for orders $100 or more. So with my $22 shipping, the 2 skeins and the 2 minis, it came to just under. So I think it was like $98 or something. Looking back, I should have been smarter. And instead of paying the $22 shipping fee, I should have just gotten another skein of yarn. Because then I would have been paying like $105 maybe or something that it would have come to. So that was real dumb on my part. And next time I know that I should just spend $100. Because I spent $100 anyways. I should have at least gotten, more stuff with it. I actually spent more than $100 because, also dumb move, getting it shipped to Canada, I had to pay duty on it. So I get a, call from my postman being like, hey, you owe $18 for duty, which is always a possibility when I go to pick it up across the line and bring it back too. But I find that, I don't know, I don't get charged duty too often anyways. They either just don't check or something. I don't know exactly. But I usually escape it or I don't spend enough money. But I feel like driving across the border, they're more likely just to push me through than the post office is. So next time, lesson learned, order more than $100, get it shipped to the States, have more yarn, be better. I also wanted to talk about these 2 skeins here because these are a part of her Harry Potter inspired collection, and she has, I think, 10, 12, I don't know exactly how many. She has a bunch of colorways inspired by Harry Potter, and I grew up on Harry Potter. I think I was at just the right age to totally be in that craze. Harry Potter was my jam and still is. But if you've ever read the books or if you are, around the same age as me, I started reading them probably when the 3rd one came out, because I remember being really excited for the 4th one. So probably around after the 3rd one came out is when I started reading them. And then the books get progressively more mature. So that was really neat to start probably when I was 12, and maybe by the time I was 20, the books were done and they were still when I was 12, they were easily digestible and they were kind of simple enough to get into. And then by the time I was 20, they were more mature, a little darker, and they kind of grew with me, which I think is really amazing in a young adult series. I think that's exactly perfectly how it should be done. So instead of ending at 12 or 13 or 14, she got me all the way. She got me all the way to the very end, and the movies and whatever. So aside from being just really beautiful colorways on their own, they were inspired by one of my favorite book series of all time. And this one especially, I didn't really know where the name came from. This is I'll Teach the Lot. Georgia, I'm podcasting. Yes. Sorry. Where was I? This one in particular, I didn't know where the name came from exactly. So it's I'll Teach the Lot. And so I was reading about, I don't know where she had posted it, but I was reading where the name came from. Something to do with Hufflepuff. And obviously the yellow and the black. If you know about Harry Potter, there are 4 houses, and like they all have different kind of qualities. And I never knew, okay, I'm gonna be a big geek right now, but I never really knew like what house would have been mine, you know, like I don't know, some people just know where they belong, and I never did. And so I actually went on Wikipedia and I like looked up Hufflepuff and what they were all about, and man, like, I'm a Hufflepuff. That's just it. Which is, I guess, kind of the whole point of Hufflepuff. But yeah, just I'm not gonna explain it to you why, but go read about it if you're interested. Yeah. So this is my color, and I didn't realize when I bought them. I just bought them as 2 skeins of yarn that I liked, but they would actually go very nicely together. They have the same kind of yellow tone in there, and I think it would be really lovely, really nice together. I have no idea what I'm going to make with any of these, but it was just one of those. She got me. With her Instagram and her beautiful photos. Rachel. I know that she is doing some more Harry Potter colorways, and she's having some of her other colorways in her shop update sometime soon. I think she does her updates on Saturdays or something. And then she's also going to be doing like mini skeins of her Harry Potter colorways. So I don't know how long I will be able to restrain myself for, but we'll see. I think I'm set for a little while. It's just so beautiful. I can't help it. So that's kind of it for knitting today. But I do have something else that I want to share with you that is kind of knitting related, but not knitting at all. I started making some progress keepers and some stitch markers out of beads. So they're all kind of connected together, but this big one is the progress keeper, and then all these little dangly guys are the individual stitch markers. And I made these with just some glass beads that I had. I used to be really into beading and jewelry and the like, and I got rid of most of my stuff. I'll just keep showing you things while I'm talking. But I did keep some. So I redid George's closet and was actually able to put in shelves and go through some of my art stuff and actually find it all, which was nice. Before it was kind of all in bins and really, really inaccessible. Now with the shelves, it's just in a little, like, all of the jewelry stuff is all in one little box, and so I decided to pull that out and try some things out. So I'm really excited about how these turned out. They're kind of hard to show on here because I don't know, just because because they're so little, and but I am really happy with how they turned out. And it's something that I thought was really nice because Georgia and I can do it together. Sometimes she gets mad at me when I knit too much. Knitting is a very like solo activity. You can't really do it with another person. I mean, you can, sit in a group together and knit, but Georgia is obviously too young to knit. So I wanted something that we could kind of do together. So I went to like bead, yeah. So I exactly. So I went to Michael's and I got just a little bit of supplies for myself, and then I also got a big box of like big plastic beads for Georgia to play with. And she was really excited about them. So we spent a couple hours one night, and I was making these, and she was, making her necklaces and things. And it was really, really nice to like, and I think Justin was, since I organized the closet, I also found all of my leather stuff. I just have random scraps of leather. I think I got it like a thrift store or something. And he decided to make himself a knife, like a knife sheath. So this was my perfect day. Like I was sitting there beading with Georgia, and Justin was doing his like little arts and crafts thing. We were all sitting around the coffee table. It was perfect. It was great. When I gave Georgia the box of beads, she really liked them. But the first thing that she asked was if she could have a box so that she could organize them, because they were all different colors, all different shapes, kind of in this one thing. And I just thought that was so funny, because that is something that I would totally do when I was little, and now too, actually. But I probably spent, like, I've been beading stuff, whatever, since I could, basically. And I've probably spent more time organizing my beads and supplies than I have actually making things. So I just thought it was super, super cute that the first thing she wanted was a box with dividers so that she could organize her beads. So I think Justin found her, I'd gotten him an old tin for like carburetor parts. It's, I don't know, this big black tin for car parts that he hadn't put anything in yet, so he got that for her to organize her beads in. And so I had to take a picture for my mom and send it to her too, and they're like, oh yeah, she really is my daughter. And I have decided I'm gonna resurrect my Etsy shop. I stopped selling patterns on Etsy a while ago. I just found that the audience there is quite different than Ravelry, and I mean, you kind of have to pay per listing, so I was actually losing money trying to sell things there. So I just took my patterns off of Etsy, but I still have my shop, so I'm going to be listing some of these up there. I took some pictures this afternoon, and well, this afternoon. It's only 2:30 right now, if you can believe it. If you can believe outside. It is so dark today. But I took some pictures earlier today in the morning when there was a tiny bit more light. And so hopefully there will be some of those in the shop. My Etsy shop is called Pip and Pin, if you can believe it. And then hopefully one day, I have some project bags and stuff too that I sold at Knit City, and I was always like, yeah, I'm going to put those up on Etsy too, but I never really got around to. So hopefully those will get up there one day soon too, and then there will actually be stuff in Etsy. I'll put a link to it somewhere, in the show notes, etc., etc. Yeah. So I think that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching and for joining me, and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave me a comment if you have something to say. Also, the Afterthought Everything's Knit Along ends January 31st, so make sure you get your finished objects onto the Ravelry group, to the finished objects thread there. And then the Pip and Pin Knit Along is started right now. So post anything Pip and Pin related to Instagram with the hashtag Pip and Pin KAL18. And that's going to be going all year long. And that's it. That's it for today. Thanks again. And I will see you maybe in a week again. Who knows? Bye.